Hello. Welcome to Claim Your Power Hour with Debbie and David, but instead of Debbie and David, it's Debbie and Katerina because Debbie and Katerina, David and Katerina. Maybe know who I am.
Close.
Maybe I'm
I can
channeling
see that.
Debbie. I'm not bubbly enough to be channeling Debbie. Debbie is in Hawaii with Joe for like a couple of weeks. They're taking a lovely vacation in Hawaii, so they're off in Hawaii. And Katerina, my co-author, partner in crime, Taya Master, Taya Mistress.
I like that better.
Yes, Taya Mistress.
Yes. That's
I kind of envision a writing crop along with that title, and it would fit you just fine.
so do I.
So, so for those of you that haven't seen Katerina in a while, what's different about you? I can't put my finger on it.
Boom.
Neck tattoo, some cheek piercings. Those are like dimples.
Well, these have been here. I just have them in now.
I was
So
going to say, so you've had the piercing for a long time. You just don't. Okay.
yeah, I have actually a lot of piercings that we don't talk about. So yeah,
Well, you're in a judgment-free zone here, so you can talk about any damn thing you want to talk about. So, those of you
indeed.
that are watching live, and I do see that there are some of you jumping on live, so that's fantastic. We're going to talk about anything, Taya, that you want to talk about. We're specifically going to talk about spinouts because Katerina loves a good spinout.
It's true. I do. I do actually.
So she'll talk all about that. We just got through talking about that part of the new book, the book that will come out next year, the Taya Practice book.
Mhm.
So if you're watching us live, say hello. Let us know who you are. If you have questions for Kat or myself, or just general Taya questions, I'm not bringing the stream in today, but the stream will be appearing again on Sunday, Sunday Soul Food. So for those
Sweet.
of you that subscribe to live stream and Patreon, and if you're watching this, at least if you're watching it live, you do, or you wouldn't be here. Then the stream will be here on Sunday for Sunday Soul Food. But for tonight, I do want to get into talking about spinouts and the. It's interesting. We had somebody that graduated. Actually, the last person that graduated from what we call boot camp was on not too long ago talking about, gosh, I'm having this spin out, and how do I get better to where I don't have any more spin outs was kind of the crux of the question. And the answer was quite simply, you don't stop spin outs. It's actually part of the process. Going down your spiral, having a low vibe period in your day, your week, your life, whatever, having a full blown spin out or an unraveling of a manifestation, all of those things are part of the practice because this isn't about manifest single thing that you want and never have another problem again and live in perfection. And I know that there's a lot of people out there peddling that around the law of attraction, but I have yet to meet anyone that lives that in the law of attraction, including the people that are peddling it, because I know a lot of them. But I won't get into all that judgment. I'll just kind of leave it at, that's just part of the deal. So, what would you like to share around spinouts, Katerina?
So the topic you brought up actually is something I asked about in the book. I don't know if you've read those questions in the spin out section yet, but there is a question where I ask about like the level of spin out versus the level of growth, and if you want to just stop the spin out in its tracks, you can, but then is there still growth there? And I mean, the stream's answer is pretty much it's all relative. If you want to just let the spin out run its course, yes, you'll grow from it. And it there can be more growth from bigger spin outs, but I mean the idea of a bigger versus smaller spin out is all just, you know, judgment talking anyway, because there's no size of spin out versus like a bigger one versus a smaller one, even though to us.
Quantification is all a human physical thing, needing to measure and quantify and judge. It's all judgment. Quantification is judgment.
Yeah, I mean, stubbing your toe versus breaking your arm, like there's a difference to us, but in the grand scheme of things, is there really? So I think it just kind of depends on your preference. Am I getting an echo? Is my sound okay?
Yeah, it's fine. It's not a bad echo. I
Okay.
have an echo because I have still kind of a somewhat empty room that I'm in. So yeah,
Okay,
it's
cool.
slowly filling up. I have my cabinet now. After
Oh,
9 months
fancy.
of waiting, I manifested my cabinet finally. So
Yeah, I finally got my office set up too, but I still do all my videos in the living room because the Wi-Fi is better here.
yeah,
So,
why not? We're not about fancy backgrounds. We're not about fancy anything, really. We're not trying too hard to impress the masses. We're kind of just delivering ourselves and our practice and what the stream has to offer, and it seems to really work for people. And I'm very happy about that.
I don't
We
know.
had the Taya reunion, which you missed the Taya Academy reunion.
I did.
We did it on a Saturday. We actually had a lot of people miss it because we did it on a Saturday. I won't do it on a
Yeah.
Saturday again. But I will say that we had so many amazing stories of people. Rona joined. Remember
Ooh.
Rona? Rona from
Yeah.
2018, graduate of 2018. So she was the longest, other than Stacy, who was graduate number two,
Yeah.
that was on. And still love the practice, changed my life, continues to change my life, is what she said. I heard that from so many people. It was just such a satisfying experience to see everybody and hear from everyone that's still getting so much out of the practice, and just seeing people that I haven't seen in a while or talked to in a while. So that was really nice. And even the people that couldn't attend, I got a lot of RSVPs. No, but I'm having an amazing life. Everything is wonderful. I love the practice. I still listen to the podcast. So it was just good to hear that from so many people. It was really good to hear that. So the spin out thing, we define a spin out simply by a prolonged DTS period in your life, down the spiral, lower vibrational period in your life, that usually is accompanying or accompanied by some unraveling of something, a relationship, a health spin out, a financial spin out, a career spin out. And it's funny to you, we're talking about a mindset practice that you're systematically raising your vibration and life is getting better and better and better. And one would think, well, gosh, you don't want to spin out because it's all about getting better and better and better. In fact, you go into the module sequence of what we used to call boot camp, what we now call the Taya experience. Those modules are all about raising your vibration and learning how to systematically raise your vibration, because we are raising our vibration, but we're still operating in vibrational flow and we're not really looking for perfection. And one of the interesting things that I encountered this year, I'll have to see if my, let's see, if my slide is still here. There it is. The numeric spiral. I love the numeric spiral. One of the things that I talked about was that when I did this training, if you haven't done the training, anyone that's watching, we have a whole training on the numeric spiral, and it's not that long. It's only like 20, 25 minutes long. So it's not like something you've got to commit an hour or 90 minutes to or anything like that. But it's on the YouTube channel. And it's in Patreon also. If you scroll back in Patreon, it's in there. But it's also on the YouTube channel. So the whole training is there. But I talked about how I really got my vibe up here. I did a lot of detuning work this year on my ego. And this year, I really just let go of a lot of my ego driven practices and beliefs. And I really got up here into this super high default vibration. And I realized that it's beautiful to be up there, but it's not that interesting. It's not that expansive. And I believe, and the stream has confirmed this. I believe it because the stream has confirmed it. That if you get yourself as a physically manifested being up here and you're staying here most of the time, you're going to create your separation from physical. So up the spiral can be as quote unquote deadly to your human experience as down at the -20 down the spiral can be. Because when you're up here in this pure source, pure allowing, you don't want anything. Nothing's bothering you. You're not judging anything as wrong or this shouldn't be. You're just moving through the experience. You don't need anything. You don't want anything. You're not you're not striving. You're not doing any of that ego-driven stuff up here. When you go lower, you've got more ego at play, even though you're up the spiral and you're in positive territory. Your ego is sort of coming back on the scene when you get down here. But when you're up here, you're just pure source. You're your pure source being. You are the way you are eternally in a physical body. But the usefulness of the physical body and the physical experience dissipates up there because you're just holding yourself so high that there's nothing left for you in this experience.
I went through something like this a couple of years ago, actually. I'm realizing as you're describing this, is I, yeah, nothing was really happening. I had everything I wanted, and the stream told me specifically, like, you're gonna screw something up. You're going to, because you're gonna get bored. So you're gonna have to have contrast at some point. And yeah, I remember talking to Matt about that actually, and saying, like, I don't know what to do. I have literally everything I want. Like, what do I do? And he said, you enjoy it until it changes. so yeah.
Yeah, the you create a spin out for yourself.
Yeah.
When you're up there, you'll create some sort of a spin out. I haven't really created a spin out that I can discern, but I'm definitely feeling that I need to come down the spiral a little bit and get more in my ego so that I care enough to get the book published. Think about it. Right now, I look at the last time, look at my social media. I don't post anything on social media because I'm not trying for anything. I'm not trying to share this. I'm not trying to get followers. I'm not trying to get likes. I'm really like, people listen to the podcast. I love doing the podcast. I love Patreon. To me, I'm sort of serving the people that are really into this with the podcast and Patreon, and YouTube is attached to all of that, of course. And I'm good. But I know that if we have a book to publish, and you and I have spent 5 years preparing this book, and we just did a rewrite this year of it, and now it's really amazing. And I know how amazing it is. I do know how amazing the book is. It absolutely is. The book will change your life. The book has the capacity to change humanity. Period. But right now, it's just kind of like, okay. So I need to get back into that ego a little bit of that. Oh, but I want to be on Oprah. I don't really care about being on Oprah, but I want to share it with a lot more people. I want a lot more people to at least be exposed to it. But I'm really in this space where I'm just good. I'm just like, it's cool. It's a great book. I love it. It's just life changing, and I love that hearing from everybody that's changed their lives. But I still don't have that ego push, that ego drive to get out there and hustle and market this book. And I know a lot of people that follow law of attraction that we shouldn't have to do any of that. You should just be able to write it and attract millions of people. Period. But there is some physical stuff that takes place between all of that. And I do think that takes energy. I think that takes that momentum and that energy, that going down the spiral a little bit and getting into that vibration. We'll pull this up yet again. Inspired action, which is a lot lower on the spiral than pure source. Magical moments. Magical moments are fantastic, but really, I probably need to be at +5, not +20. I need to be in this space. And what will get me in that space, is going down a little bit, having some. I can't imagine myself being stuck in compliancy. I think I need to go down to dis-ease. I need to go down to dis-ease and then level out at inspired action. I hope that makes sense. If you're watching us live, let us know if this makes sense to you or not. But yeah, I'm glad that you brought up that you have had that experience where you've gotten so up your spiral and so blissed out that you didn't want anything else. You kind of had everything, and then you inevitably created a spin out for yourself.
Oh yeah.
You deconstructed everything, really.
Everything. Oh, my health, my relationship, my financial situation. I just lit the match and backed up and watched it burn. And new creation came forth. But the stream actually said that specifically about you today with the book. So of that. I mean, it's getting there, but yeah, that you're going to be making a shift into excitement about it in a way. So I'm excited to see what that's going to look like, because yeah, I'm stoked. And there was one little piece of the puzzle that has now fallen back into place. So I think that's going to be pretty cool to see. And oh man,
Good.
I can't wait for you guys to read it.
It is. It is really good. It is really good. It really. The practice. I can say now, 5 years in, that it's complete. That we not that it's never going to be altered or changed or expanded or anything like that, but I know now that the spin out part of it, and especially all of these teachings about the matrix,
Mhm.
all of that stuff brought the practice full circle, because that's really what they've been building up to. And I think it took COVID to really point out what the matrix is. Like, here's an unraveling of, here's a spin out for humanity. Humanity created a spin out for itself, and it changed the vibration, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows the vibration of humanity is different now than it was pre-COVID, and it's not going back to how it was.
Yeah.
And that creates a lot of anxiety in people, because a lot of people, I think, are still judging it. Should not be. And that creates suffering, and that creates suffering is anxiety, and anxiety is suffering. So that's what creates all of that, is that, gosh, we need to go back to the way it was before COVID, but we can't. We
Yeah.
shifted to a different vibration, so we just can't, nor would we really want to.
Yeah. And we don't need to. Like, everything's going to be changing. That's not a bad thing. I mean, it's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing, but I have different views
It's just
of
the
what it is.
process of expansion of consciousness,
Yeah.
period. And
It's
it's
just a
it's
thing.
it's being, expressed in physical, as a pandemic, and there'll be other little disruptions that come along as part of that. But the pandemic was a big shift. In my 54 years, I had never seen anything, or however many years, 2 years ago was, 53, 52 years. I had never seen anything that monumental happen across all of humanity, or
I
almost
just,
all of humanity.
I
There are
just
some
realized
places that just decided to ignore it and not have the experience, and that's what they manifested. But yeah.
we started that book way pre-COVID. It's
Oh yeah.
interesting, like how much it's evolved. But yeah, it was, when I go back into the editing on it, it's going to be interesting to read it from like the perspective of how much has changed. Because as I went through some parts, there were things where I mentioned, like, at the time of this writing, my daughter is, and I'm like, oh, holy crap, she's a teenager now. Because I was like, at the
Yeah, well,
time
I
of
think
this
we need to go
writing,
back in
she's
and make sure that
9.
it feels a little more timeless, probably. And again, let us know who you are watching. We see you. We know you're out there. We just don't know exactly who you are. So say hello. Say hello to me and Katerina. Comment
Yeah.
on her neck tattoo. Let her know how you feel about it, because
Mm.
it's really interesting.
Yeah,
It's just
I've
where,
had
where
this.
you have that, the whatever you call that. That's really interesting. The placement of that.
Yeah, I've
I
had
keep
this.
waiting for you to get a third eye tattooed up here.
I'm gonna wait till my 50s, I think, to tattoo my face. But I said I was waiting till my 40s to do my neck. But like, yeah, it's a whole big thing with an owl. It means a lot
Yeah,
to
I
me.
love
But
owls. I just absolutely adore owls.
yeah, it goes all the way around and down my arms. I've been plotting it out for a long time, and I actually worked out a trade with a tattoo artist who needed editing and website work done. So we worked out an almost $10,000 trade. So that will be enough to complete the work that I've been wanting to do. So
Wow.
yeah, you know,
Well, I just have good old TYA tattooed, and that's it. I'm probably going to stop there.
it's still my favorite.
Yeah. Hey, Carrie, good to see you. You missed the slideshow. I've already brought up the spiral slide with the numeric slides. I
We can
just
make
love that
another
tool.
show.
I love that tool. I just think it's so cool, now that we've applied, a numeric system to the spiral, and we can talk about what +5 and -5 and +10 and +20 and all that looks like. I think it helps people a lot in terms of thinking about their vibration and the experience of where they are in a moment and where you are generally. And that compliancy, that's the big one. Most of humanity is operating at -5 compliancy. They're doing what they're told. They're in their lane in the maze doing what they're told, and they don't like it. If they like it, I think that's great. But for the ones
Yeah.
that don't like it, that's because you're at -5.
Yeah.
You're being compliant, and your soul is calling you towards something more.
And then there's some people who are perfectly happy there. It's
Mhm.
fascinating to me. Judgment has been such an interesting concept for me to understand over the years. I have transformed as a human so much, especially since finding this practice, but it's just fascinating to meet people or talk to people and think, "Oh, yeah, I do understand where you're coming from. I used to think the same way." And wow, is this what I sounded like? Like it's not even like a good thing or a bad thing. It's just like, oh yeah, yeah, I can totally relate to you on this because I've absolutely felt that way. And some days I might still.
Makes sense. So, Carrie, if you have any questions for us, and whoever else, somebody else is watching too now. I see all these people popping on. So, if you're watching live, I know a lot of people watch this stuff on a recording. And if you're watching the recording, remember you can comment on here. You need to comment a lot for us to see it live through YouTube. But once you're watching the recording, comment on Patreon. Because we see those comments and we can chat about things that we cover topic wise. So we are talking about spinouts. We have the queen of spinouts, Katerina, here with us. I don't know if you're the queen of spinouts.
Why does everyone keep
Maybe I need
calling
more of
me
a
that?
spinout. I need to spin out something to reignite my passion for marketing all of this stuff because it's not there this year. I had a lot of passion for it last year. This year, it's just not so much. It just isn't. And I'm so content and blissed out that I'm okay with that. But I do want to get it out there more. I think that this practice has a lot of value, and what does motivate me is hearing the stories from other people that practice it, of how amazing it is and how perfect it is, and how it's so complete and everything that you really need. There's a lot of other things out there, and I do believe that everything has the power that you give to it. So if you're giving power to another practice, that's fine. It's going to work for you if you believe because the power is within you. But Taya is all about that. It's about going inward and tapping into your own inner power. And the systematic raising of your vibration makes you more powerful. And it teaches you how to really tap in and how to manifest any and everything that you want to experience just by automatically just allowing it to flow in without needing it. Because what so many people fall into is that vibration of need. And you were talking about stopping the spin out a moment ago. And really, if you're in the middle of a spin out and you're trying to stop it, you're probably going to fuel it instead of just appreciating the ride. Here I am mid spin out. Where are we going from here? What's next? I feel my soul calling me forward to something. And that is that creative energy of source. It is calling us toward creation, always. So our ego just serves to separate us from that, to deliver some contrast so that we have inspiration for new creation. That's the purpose of life. That's the purpose of polarity. And I know that there are things that I want to experience in this lifetime that are unique to this lifetime for me, that as an eternal being, even, I'm not going to be able to experience in other scenarios. So this is a unique life. It's not like, oh, you're an eternal being. Don't worry. If you don't get it this time, you're going to get it in the next round. Well, we don't know that. I may not be in the earth environment next time. I may be in some other environment, right? Or I may be in another scenario where I'm nowhere near experiencing something in physical that I could experience right now, including physical creation, including material creation, because it's all the same. So you've gone through your spin outs. What spin outs can you share that you now have clarity exactly how it expanded your being?
So this will actually probably be helpful for adding this into the book. So for those of you listening, I was talking with the stream today because I got stuck in the book. We finished everything. And then I realized here's this section on spinouts that is probably my most important contribution here. And I got stuck, and ironic because I was saying I've been called the queen of spinouts and everyone keeps calling me that. But so I put it in the book too as well. So I have actually been able to stop a spin out in its tracks, and found that I, I think for growth reasons, for me personally, allowing them to pan out is a little more interesting. And maybe it's the writer in me because, you know, I love a good plot twist. But my experiences, getting my car stolen was kind of the catalyst that really started to bring my attention to things. But I mean, my whole life, interesting stuff like this has happened, and then it always just magically comes back together at the end. So I was like, oh wow, that was really crazy. Ooh, it's a lot better now. That was interesting. But since then, like, I think more relevant, not relative, well, relative to this conversation, since I've been practicing Taya, um, the the first catalyst spin out was definitely starting with the car getting stolen because everything was going really well. That was when everything was just perfect, and I got bored, I guess. And I don't get bored consciously. I'm always keeping my mind busy, but I think like energetically I got bored, and yeah, I manifested that. So that was the first wake up call. The stream had warned me, and then, you know, it was great. It came back to me. I got a better car out of it, all this stuff. And then I guess that wasn't enough because then it was shortly after that that I had that crazy guy at the hot tub punch me in the face out of nowhere. So that was a pretty big one that it happened in the suburbs in this really nice neighborhood, and like out of nowhere the guy just completely unprovoked, um literally. So that experience started opening my eyes to a lot of human interaction that we get into, and that was kind of a non-judgment moment for me because my boyfriend was really really upset about that and getting into this whole like, I need justice, I need to teach him lessons, I'm going to go hunt this guy down and yell at him and like all this stuff. And the whole time I'm thinking, I feel like that's not really going to help anyone, because I don't feel like it's up to us to teach lessons. But then going to court, we found out that guy was actually about to be a dad. So that experience was very much eye opening. For you don't know what someone's going through, and it's really not up to us to judge. I mean, maybe he'll be a fantastic dad. Maybe this experience opened his eyes so much because he pled guilty, and like they I mean, we ended up pressing charges and stuff. And so who knows? Maybe this is going to be this eye-opening experience for him. He has to go get anger management now. Like, this could transform his whole life for the better, all because we happen to cross paths. Who knows? But let's see. Since then, there was I left the place I was living because it just kept getting more expensive, and I got tired of trying to keep up with it because I knew I could, and it was just wearing me out. So I left a relationship, a place that I lived. My health started to have some issues. All of it just kind of came spiraling into this big whirlpool around me. And then I just walked away, and I dragged my daughter along with me. She wasn't super happy about leaving the nice place, but we've now moved to a small town, and I finally feel like I have peace and quiet. So I'm still writing and editing books, but like, I'm working at the drop zone that I skydive at, and my life is simple and peaceful, and my health has improved because I don't have those stress levels anymore. I'm just chilling. And making all those changes allowed me to finish the book. So, though there hasn't been like a fantastic aha moment at the end of a spin out, there's definitely been subtle changes that I look back at and realize the evolution has been what's taught me what I need to know,
Yeah,
and I
well,
know it's
that's the
going to keep
purpose
getting
of a
better.
spin out, really. And I have to show this what Carrie wrote that. Let's clarify: Katerina is the queen of solving a spin out.
I prefer to think of myself as the queen of spin ups. Thank you.
Well, spin outs do level you up if you're not, especially if you're not judging them. If you're not judging the spin out, it does level you up automatically. Even
Yeah.
if you can't say, "Oh my gosh, I got this monumental thing." There are a lot of things in our lives that we can do that. We have lots of blessings in disguise, right? Something bad happens that gives way to something fantastic. That's what vibrational flow creates in all of us, whether we're practicing Taya or not. Taya is really just about understanding the process and taking the judgment and fear and anxiety out of it, because we know what it's all about. We know why we go down the spiral. We know why we spin out. We know what it ultimately offers us. Even if it's not immediately revealed, it's going to be revealed.
Yeah. I mean, I broke my foot and that led to me meeting a sexy doctor. So like
Well, there you
things like
go. So
that.
Cheryl loves spin ups. Carrie loves spin ups. So this spin out gives way to spin up. There you go. New terminology. Let's write the book again. I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
that's great. Let's do
Let's
that.
rewrite the book again about spin ups. No. We're not changing anything else in the book. We're just kind of polishing up what we've already done. It's very complete now. After all these years, it's very, 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 very complete. So we do have a chapter that we're finishing on spin outs, and that's why we had the meeting today, and that's why we decided to carry that conversation here to Claim Your Power, because I really want to make sure everybody understands that unraveling some manifestations, going down your spiral, all of that is part of the Taya practice. The difference in the Taya practice is that we are learning to meet all of that in joy. We're learning to meet it in appreciation, at least, so that we're not suffering in it, we're not judging it, and we're allowing the solving or the healing or the expansion that comes from all of that stuff just to be realized easier. And it is when you do that.
Yeah, agreed.
And taking yourself out to that outer limit of appreciation of all that is, that's so magical. And sometimes when I'm on with people, we're going to do this again on Sunday, I really want people to start going into an active appreciation of all that is. And if something pops up in this sort of active meditation of just imagining every aspect of your life and every aspect of humanity, and then when you hit that bump in the road, well, wait a minute, you can't appreciate this. Yeah, you can. Let's stop and appreciate it. Let's stop and see it the way Source sees it. And
Yeah.
well, I can't appreciate that because it's somebody was abused or somebody died or you might die or all of that stuff that we're taught to fear in the Matrix. Source isn't fearing any of it. Source isn't judging any of it. And we can adopt that mindset.
Agreed.
And it's really powerful when you do. That's really the meat of the practice is getting into that space where you can really authentically appreciate everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
And then it's not even hard. Like it's it becomes so natural that it's hard to understand how someone can't appreciate things. But I know it's taken so long to get here, but it's almost like I've forgotten what it's like to hold grudges and hatred for people because, or things, or experiences, or anything like that, because it's just so easy to find something to appreciate now. Because it's like, oh, well, that's a
Yeah,
growing
and
experience.
just think about how much that lifts your vibration and how much that really feeds your soul, not going into all that negative energy of judgment and should not be and must be stopped and must change their mind and must argue my point and all that crap that we
Yeah.
just don't bother to do because we don't need to, because we're in appreciation of all that is. So if you're in appreciation of all that is, there's nothing to argue about.
So here's a question. When you can find that level of appreciation, but you are very closely involved with a family member or a lover or even just like a close friend who does not find that level of appreciation in things. How do you find yourself reacting? Because I've noticed my response to this type of thing is very different than it used to be. I used to follow a spiritual teacher who told me that if you spend your time in a room full of smokers, you're going to come out smelling like smoke. And that's why it's so important to only surround yourself with positive vibrations and spiritual people and things like that. And I don't believe that anymore. So I find myself observing someone who experiences a lot of grudge holding and lack of appreciation and things like that. How do you find yourself observing that? Like, how do you feel like it affects you? Do you feel like it allows you to find more appreciation for the fact that you can find appreciation? Like, what do you do with that when it happens?
I think, first of all, I love this aspect of the practice because I love discovering something new that is work. And when I talk about work, I mean something new to work on in myself and the practice. So I call that, especially if you're in a relationship with someone and it's not something that's in the past, then I would call that an active transgressor. It's active right now. It's the person that you're living with, it's your parent on the phone, or it's whoever, but it's an active transgressor that isn't where you are vibrationally, but yet you're still exposed to them on a regular basis. And I have some of that going on in my own life right now. And that's kind of like a new frontier. I realized not long ago, oh, this is why this is happening. I manifested this because this is the next layer for me to have that active transgressor experience, because I had manifested my path away from all of my life's transgressors and with ease. And now, if someone is not a vibe match to me, I'm completely fine with having a brief encounter or experience and having it fade away. Friendships, relationships, whatever. And the people that tend to stick around are the ones that are doing some sort of work like this on a vibrational level to get to where I am vibrationally, so that we're a match, and they stick around for that reason. But for the people that aren't, it's that new challenge that you can be very eager about and appreciative of, that I've got this new thing that I can work on in my practice. It's finding appreciation for a very clear and present active transgressor. And I had a scenario with one this week that really shifted with a round of detuning, a round of radical appreciation, shifted everything. But I have to remember to do it, because if I don't, then it will become a spin out. And it was a spin out that preceded the round of detuning, for sure, on my part.
But is it really a transgressor then if you are finding appreciation for the scenario in the moment?
Well, you're detuning the transgressor, because the transgressor is a person, circumstance, or event that you cannot fully and authentically appreciate, period. So if you are finding yourself having interactions where you're not appreciating them because they're annoying or whatever, then you've got some detuning to do. The detuning work is finding things to appreciate about them, perhaps when they're not physically present in the moment, so that you can carry that appreciation into the next actual physical interaction.
But what if you're finding appreciation for them while you are still annoyed by them? So like, what if...
Well, it's contradictory, because if you're finding appreciation for them, that the annoying part dissipates, or you're not authentically appreciating them. You can't simultaneously move in the direction of authentic appreciation and still hold on to that judgment that creates the annoyance.
I guess I don't know if I fully agree. Like, I find it interesting because you can have an experience with someone that you may not necessarily enjoy the way it's panning out, but still finding appreciation for it in the moment. I'm thinking about, like, something really similar to this happened to me just last night. And so I'm thinking about the encounter, and like the whole time this is going on, I'm thinking, all right, I'm starting to find this exhausting. So I'm going to need to step away, because I don't want to be doing this anymore. But the whole time I'm thinking, well, I'm learning a lot from this, and I do have appreciation. And that was very much in the moment. It was very simultaneous of, I'm not enjoying this, but I'm appreciating it, if that makes sense. So I feel like there is kind of a paradox.
Appreciation is deep understanding. So that is detuning. The appreciation is deep understanding, but the whole point of detuning and getting to the deep understanding so that you appreciate is so that you're not holding on to that judgment that's annoying you. That you and when we say judgment, I'm talking about that label of this should not be. They shouldn't
Exactly.
be this way. They shouldn't be doing this thing. It annoys the hell out of me. They shouldn't be. That's not appreciating them. Now, you may be annoyed by them in the moment, and then you get away, and then you're meditating, you're raising your vibration, and then suddenly, oh, there's newfound appreciation for this person when they're not present. That's
Yeah.
detuning, because that can carry over into your next actual physical interaction with them and change it. That's the experience that I had this week.
Yeah.
From yelling to apologies and I love yous and all of that stuff. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm still finding it observing a situation, and yes, it's still not being my preference, but also not judging it as this should not be. It's more of observing the situation as I don't enjoy this. It's not a matter of
Well,
should
that's
or should
preference.
not.
I think that's preference.
Yeah.
Preference and judge. That's where I draw the line between preference and judgment. Preference is I don't enjoy this.
Yeah.
I can't think of a whole lot right now. Michael cooked fish today in the house, and I hate fish, and I hate the smell of fish, and the whole house smells like fish. Not my preference, but I'm not judging it as should not be. If the man wants to eat fish, he
Yeah.
can eat fish. But so that's a preference. It's not a this should not be or this person should not be or I'm so annoyed that he cooked fish. I'm not annoyed that he cooked fish. I know that he likes salmon. I despise it. And he bought some. I saw it in the refrigerator. I knew it was going to happen. So I had a salmon spin out today, and then he had the nerve to offer me some when I got through with our meeting. I ran out to grab a bite to eat. Do you want some salmon? I'm like, I don't want salmon. I hate salmon. No, I don't want any salmon. But it's a preference, right? We can laugh about it. It's just a preference. It's my preference not to be around salmon. And now I'm going to be smelling it for a couple of days probably. So in that person, if it's your preference not to be around them, and you can appreciate them and have a preference of not being around them, that is detuning. That is, because you're not saying they shouldn't be that way or that they need to change or anything like that, or you hate them or they drive you crazy or, it's just your preference not to be in their presence. And that's okay. We're here to discern preference. We're here
Yeah.
to, this is something that I want to experience. And this is something that I don't or no longer want to experience. Our whole life is that's the whole contrast of being in physical and as a human being, or we don't have to be a human being, any being. I have a dog that discerns preferences on food all the time. I tried to give her we opened up a can of pumpkin today to give it to one of the dogs that was sick, and I thought, oh, maybe she'll like this. I put it in front of her and she looked at me like, are you crazy? And ran away. She knows how to discern a preference. That one, she certainly does. I've fed her things in the past that she just lets it fall right out of her mouth. No, don't put that in my mouth. Get it away from me. She's always been like that. Meanwhile, Rocco will eat literally anything you put in his mouth. He doesn't care what it is. He will eat it if you put it in his mouth. So they're very opposite that way. So we've attracted these two dogs that are complete opposites in every sense of just every topic you can imagine in a dog's personality. They're completely opposite. They are absolute complete opposites. So it's really entertaining to watch. So yeah, that's you can detune and discern a preference away from. In fact, the detuning part, if you're not a vibrational match, the detuning part will usually separate you. I see this happen in romantic relationships all the time, where somebody will come into the academy and they are in a relationship that they is abusive or dysfunctional in some way, and they're judging that person as shouldn't be doing this, it's so wrong, it's ruining my life, and all of those judgments are holding them in the relationship because that judgment is feeding it, and you're actually extracting more of that from that other being because you're really focused on that. So you're manifesting more of that from them. So we guide them to authentic appreciation, which, the general public will say, oh my God, you're telling somebody they got to appreciate their abusive partner. Well, we really coach on that. It's not about, in the moment stuff, but It is about finding enough appreciation to allow that separation to happen. And it happens very quickly when you
Yeah.
find authentic appreciation, because you're not feeding that unwanted behavior with your judgment, your that negative energy anymore.
Yeah.
Because we have to remember that source, the universe, the creative power of all that is, doesn't judge our creation. That's why very nice people are in relationships where they are systematically abused by their partners. It's not fair. It's not right. They're so nice and they always end up with these losers that are abusive. Well, that's why, because they're judging the abuse, they're internalizing it, they're feeling like a victim, and they're attracting more of it. And the non-pious layperson will say, "You're a monster for even saying that. How dare you say someone's attracting that? It's not their fault." But none of that ever gets solved. It never. That's what is baffling to me. Like, okay, maybe you should think about trying our way, because that other way doesn't solve a damn thing. They stay in cycles. We see people stay in these cycles of not just abuse, but just all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Cycles of poverty, cycles of underemployment, cycles of crappy jobs. I resented not being self-employed, and I manifested, dislike of my employers because I didn't want to work in the matrix. So I manifested that over and over again into different scenarios where I didn't like being told what to do, because I didn't want to be in the matrix. I didn't want somebody else telling me what to do. I wanted to do it my way. And when I was allowed to do things my way, I performed very well. I was extremely successful. And then I would always create a spin out where somebody else would come back into the picture and take away or erase all of the progress that I had made professionally. So we all do it. We all do it until we learn to authentically detune through radical appreciation. And that radical appreciation does cause separation from that which we are not vibing with,
Yeah.
because it just makes it benign. Appreciation isn't, if you appreciate, it's like the antidote to that judgment and fear vibration that is very powerful, that we are creating, that keeps them there.
Hmm.
The detuning aspect of it, the appreciation aspect of it, just detunes that. It makes a benign scenario out of it, where they're not there anymore because we're not putting so much energy toward it. We're just sort of appreciating, which kind of leads us to like indifference, if you think about it. Indifference is good. It's a good disconnector.
Hmm. Yeah.
Well, think about the true vibration of indifference. I don't hate you, but I don't love you. I'm not wanting you to be in my life, but I'm not terrified that you're here. I'm kind of just at a zero. If you think about it on the vibrational spiral, indifference, the way I would describe indifference is, a lot of people will say, I'm indifferent towards you. And you know that's not true.
Yeah.
They're saying they're indifferent to act like they're over it when they're really not. You can even hear the vibration in their voice when they're saying it. True indifference would be zero, very,
Yeah.
hovering around very close to zero, +1, 2, -1, -2, somewhere in that kind of zero zone is true indifference, and that would create a separation for somebody.
It's an interesting point. I have not put thought into. Hmm.
The goal is zero. Well, and if you're thinking about, someone that annoys you, and you're wanting to detune them and create a separation from them, probably your preference is not to be, around them for whatever reason, then the zero should be the goal. So
Yeah.
appreciation is just kind of correcting that negative, appreciation is just bringing it up to zero, not necessarily up to 5, 10, 15, or 20. But it's a healing thing. So you're pulling the vibration up to level it off at zero, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Because you're going to do some work that's going to shift the vibration with intention, but then you're going to move your focus to something else, and you're going to default back into a vibration on any topic. So you're doing the work to move the vibration up, and the intention behind that is not to take them in via radical appreciation. Radical appreciation is 20.
Mhm.
Radical appreciation is, oh my gosh, I'm viewing you through the eyes of source, complete appreciation of all that you are. But you're doing that work in the moment. You're not going to take that vibration and hold on to it. The idea is you kind of like, you do that, you kind of let go of it, and it's healed the stuff that was dragging it down below zero.
Hmm.
So I'm going to see what Cheryl has to say here. We'll just bring it up for the whole world to see. That is where I have a fine line with judgment the most. I have that situation currently, and this is easy living alone, but it isn't as easily achieved when they're next to you. Yeah, a lot of people experience that. Yep,
Mhm.
yep. And not getting why you aren't as offended. Oh yeah, yeah. It's very powerful when someone is used to pushing your buttons,
Yeah.
and you've detuned them, and they no longer have that power over you. That feels really good. And you have to remember that you got there because you did the detuning work. And don't, and there are people, and I don't know exactly the scenario you're talking about, Cheryl, but there are people that are so trained to push your buttons that when they can't push your buttons anymore, they're going to double down. Let me
Yeah.
find something really to go in deep with. And the more you practice the radical appreciation, and really going up to a positive 20, think about it. If you are positive 20 and you are source, you cannot possibly be triggered because
Yeah.
you don't have any judgment for anything. And if it's somebody that knows you intimately trying to push your buttons, and a lot of times that's the scenario, they know your weakness and they kind of know what level they know where to really go in and get you if they need to. And then what I would do in that moment is be cognizant enough to realize, gosh, they're really not successful in pushing my buttons, and how sad it is that they're feeling that they need to really go there. But I've detuned them, and I've detuned whatever that is, and it's not a trigger for me anymore. So do your best. I'm not going to be triggered. Or if you need to, create physical separation.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really poignant, because that's a situation I find myself in um a lot nowadays. Of my significant other and I met after my interest in the Taya practice. So, well, one of my significant others, but after my interest in the Taya practice. So, it's been an interesting adventure of, I think, and this is just my observation, but I think it frustrates him that he can't rattle me the way he's used to getting a rise out of people, to
That's
the
funny
point
because
where
I don't think you see the comments. Cheryl just said the exact same thing.
working on it.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what
Yeah.
has happened. Isn't working, and man, they are giving it their all.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
celebrate the work that you've done that got you there, that makes them believe they have to really go in deep,
yeah.
because you're getting under their skin by not allowing them to get under yours. And it's okay. Let your ego celebrate that a little bit, because it is the work that you're doing.
Yeah, that's
And
fair.
just keep it up, keep it up. And if you slip or spin out somewhere, it's fine. It's fine. You're a human being. You're a vibrational being. You're a human being. And so just keep doing the work. Keep doing the work. Keep at it. And that situation, one way or another, will solve itself. I've seen it so many times. So many times.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point of view, because there's lots of things that happen to me nowadays, or just over the past few years, that I think to myself, wow, if this person had said this to me, or if this had happened to me 10 years ago, it would have made me cry. Like, and I actually had that thought last night. There was like someone said something to me, and I thought, huh, that does, why doesn't this bother me? Like, this is
Yeah.
like, I,
It makes you realize how much work you've done and how much you've changed and expanded, and that you're not people can't trigger you because you've healed your triggers.
yeah, yeah,
And it's a
it's
lifetime
definitely.
work. Remember that too, that this is a lifetime of work. I started this, gosh, probably 14 years ago, I was doing this. And there's still stuff. I'm still manifesting scenarios where, oh, here's a new thing to work on, because this is still there. There's still a little vibrational dust, and it's still there. I'm not expecting to ever be finished with this. I'm not
Yeah.
looking for the finish line where everything is detuned. I have no triggers. Everything is detuned, because again, when you do that, you find yourself up here. It's not that interesting. It's not that expansive. And I do think that you manifest a separation from your physical being if you keep yourself up here. I want to be down here. I think it's more fun, more expansive to be operating not at positive 20 all the time, because that, it's just not that interesting. Excuse me. I like having stuff to work on. Stuff, this Taya stuff. I like having this stuff to work on. This vibrational clearing, just discovering new layers and new things. And if I run out of stuff, I know that I'm going to create a spin out, and there'll be some new thing to solve. It's why we come to physical.
Do you ever
create
find
problems
yourself
and solve them? What's that?
do you ever find yourself kind of looking forward to spin outs?
I find myself looking forward to having a human reaction to stuff sometimes, and not just being Pollyanna. I'm not really that Pollyanna anyway. There are a lot of people in spiritual practices that, love and light all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I love having a human reaction sometimes that isn't, the source is not part of, that I know is all my ego. I love that. I love that. I love having my human experience of imperfection. I really do.
Agreed.
Yeah. And I got really angry the other night. And after it was all over with, and of course, Michael, well, that doesn't seem very Taya like. He was to throw that at me. And I said, well, Taya's not about perfection. And I have to tell you, while I'm not looking to have that sort of, anger spin out again. I don't do that very often anymore. It felt good. I enjoyed having it. I enjoyed having the experience of having that, sort of blow up experience. Good. It was good. So yeah, that part, I'm not looking for it, but when it does happen, I actually appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm able to
Agreed.
appreciate that, because that's my humanity, and I'm not changing that or solving it. And that's why, all of these, spiritual people, when they have a spin out, it gets plastered all over the news. When some, minister of a mega church, freaks out on an airplane or something, it's big news, because everyone's holding them to this impossible standard of perfection. We're vibrational beings in the moment. And while they're preaching or while they're interacting with their congregation, they're probably very much in their zone and very happy and a very charming individual. And then you place somebody in a travel scenario. And I'm someone that used to fly almost every single week. So, in and out of airports and on and off airplanes was so second nature. It's still disruptive.
Yeah.
Because you're going to a new destination, and you're on you're with all of these other people and all of their energy and all of that. It's a disruptive experience no matter what. That's why there's so much stress in travel. And that's why travel, continues to go down the path of becoming more and more stressful, because we judge it so much. Should not be. Flying, I keep seeing these pictures pop up on Instagram or somewhere where, what flying was like in the 50s, where it was just huge. The plane just had all this space, and people were all dressed up, and, there were just big trays of, gourmet food. And, it was just very different than even, the nicest international first class today. And that's because we judge travel so much that we're continuing to create a travel experience that's going to become more and more unpleasant.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, I can't remember the last time someone served me a shrimp cocktail on a plane. It's been a while.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't, I haven't flown recently, but I did fly some during COVID, and whatever was left of first class all went away in COVID.
Yeah.
That became a box of crappy food that you used to get in coach, for a $2,000 plane ticket. The eating on dishes and all of that lovely stuff just went away. I don't know if it's back or not. Next time I fly, I'll let you know. But yeah.
Yeah, I haven't flown in a while.
Yeah, I haven't really. I've really been focused on the house this year. I haven't done a lot of traveling at all.
The only time I've flown in the last several years was to see you. For the live
I'm
event.
glad that you did. I'm glad that you came out for that. That was a lot of fun.
And that was my first time.
I want to thank everybody. What was that? I'm sorry.
I said that was my first time landing in a plane in like 5 years.
Oh, that's right. You don't really land. You usually jump out.
Hmm.
You go up all the time, but you jump out
Yeah.
before you have to land. So you haven't you haven't had to like abort a jump recently?
No, I've actually never had to do that. I've never had to
You
land
always
with the
jump out of the
plane.
plane no matter what.
Yeah.
Wow,
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah. Anyway.
There you go. Well, I want to thank everybody that watched live. Thank you all for watching in the future. Hopefully, you got something really good out of this discussion. And
Yes.
Katarina, it was a lot of fun to have you back on. I miss our days. We used to be on every week, so I miss that
Mhm.
sometimes. So I'm glad you got to
I
join me
might
again.
come out of hiding again. We'll see now that the book's done. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be cool. I think everybody would like to see you and hear from you. Long time Taya practitioner, Taya master for sure, and so deep into the book that you know it backward and forward at this point.
Love it. It's the
All
best
right.
book ever. So.
I agree. Thank you, everybody. Good night.